Thousands of trucks ready for sale, just sitting unused in lots.
America's biggest automakers saw the slowdown coming and built through it anyway. 4 million trucks, brand new and unsold, now sit like monuments to denial. Executives promised demand would bounce back. Dealers begged them to stop shipping. They didn't. Prices are now collapsing in real time. The question isn't just why they ignored the warnings, it's who pays for the mistake. Watch till the end. I'll show you how to keep your wallet dry while the rest of the market sinks. The 4 million shock. Across Texas and the Midwest, you can feel it before you even see it. The silence on dealer lots doesn't sound like opportunity. It sounds like panic. Industry analysts now confirm what truck owners have whispered for months. More than 4 million unsold pickup trucks are sitting idle across America. That's not marketing hype. That's a gridlock of steel and debt, baking under the sun. Every model you know, F-150, Silverado, Ram, Tundra, lined up like soldiers waiting for orders that will never come. The supply chain didn't just catch up, it overran demand completely. A healthy truck market moves in roughly 60 days of inventory. That means every truck built has a buyer within 2 months. But by the summer of 2025, many lots hit 100 days of supply. That's nearly double the healthy level. Billions of dollars of machines losing value before their engines ever turn. Drive past any small-town Ford or Chevy dealer in Texas, and you'll see it. Rows of shiny metal that haven't moved in weeks, sometimes months. For truck owners who paid record prices during the boom, this isn't good news. Every unsold truck pushes your resale value lower. You might think that kind of backlog would trigger an instant production cut, but it didn't. The industry kept building like the flood would never rise. And that's the question haunting everyone from Amarillo to Omaha. Why keep stacking trucks no one's buying? The answer begins where business sense ends, pride and policy. But the scariest part isn't what's on those lots, it's why they kept building anyway. The 60 to 100 day problem. When a dealer takes delivery of new trucks, the clock starts ticking, and every tick costs money. Floor plan financing means every unsold truck racks up fees, about $20 per day per vehicle. For a lot carrying 200 trucks, that's $4,000 daily, almost $30,000 every week, just for inventory sitting still. Dealers across the Midwest say the same thing. They're paying rent on steel they can't move. A manager in Kansas City told us, it's like paying mortgage on a house no one can live in. This is not about bad salesmanship. Most of these guys are pros who've weathered oil crashes and recessions, but they've never seen factory shipments this relentless. Corporate targets still demand full allocation, even when customers stopped signing papers. Dealers can't reject inventory without losing future bonuses, so the lots pile up. From Texas to Nebraska, aerial shots show identical trucks packed so tight you could walk from one roof to the next without touching pavement. Each unsold truck is a slow leak of profit. Banks charge interest, insurance ticks upward, space runs out. Some dealers quietly rent overflow fields or old fairgrounds to store excess stock. It's unsustainable, and everyone in the business knows it. But cutting back production would signal weakness, and the automakers can't stomach that headline. Instead, they keep shipping, hoping discounts will mask the problem. The truth is, this flood didn't come from greed alone. It had help from Washington. Policy decisions meant to protect jobs ended up choking the market that created them. And the fuse that lit this powder keg wasn't a salesman, it was politics. If you're seeing the same truck pileups in your town, hit subscribe and drop a comment with your state's dealer situation. Real stories wake people up. Tariffs lit the fuse. Early in 2025, new import tariffs were rolled out with patriotic fanfare. The promise was simple: make American-built trucks competitive again and bring jobs home. But reality doesn't care about speeches. Overnight, identical trucks built in different countries carried drastically different prices. A Ford or Chevy assembled in Mexico suddenly cost $8,000 to $10,000 more than its Michigan twin. Buyers didn't see patriotism in those numbers. They saw nonsense. Shoppers got smart fast. Online forums exploded with VIN decoders. People learned how to read the 11th character to find out where their truck was built. When two identical models sat side by side, one priced thousands higher because of a factory code, it shattered trust in the entire pricing structure. "Why should I pay more for the same bolts?" became the new rally cry. Dealers tried to explain, but the damage was done. Even loyal brand fans started walking out, planning to wait for prices to stabilize. Others crossed state lines to hunt better deals. Tariffs meant to boost American manufacturing ended up scattering customers and creating confusion across dealerships. Trucks that should have sold instantly now gathered dust because buyers didn't know what was fair anymore. Worse, the price gap didn't just hurt imports, it fractured domestic confidence. Suddenly, Buy American meant pay more for the same truck. And that's a hard sell in ranch country. The market didn't just stall, it froze. Automakers faced an ugly choice: cut production or pretend everything was fine. Most chose the latter, and that denial spread like wildfire. But the fire didn't stop at the border. It burned straight into the factories. Factory profits on fire. Inside Detroit's boardrooms, the numbers told a story that no press release could hide. For more than a decade, full-size pickups carried the profit load for American automakers. They weren't just products, they were lifelines. A single high-trim truck once earned $10,000 to $15,000 in margin, enough to fund smaller cars and electric projects. Now, those margins are ashes. With discounts climbing to $15,000 just to move metal, the golden goose is bleeding cash. Still, the assembly lines haven't slowed. Factories in Dearborn, Arlington, and Fort Wayne keep running triple shifts, producing more trucks than the market can swallow. Why? Because stopping would trigger layoffs, political fallout, and stock panic. Cutting production means acknowledging failure, and executives would rather gamble that demand will bounce back in 6 months. But buyers aren't coming back at these prices. Wages haven't kept up, interest rates bite harder, and everyone's waiting for the 2026 reset models rumored to be simpler and cheaper. The result is a vicious loop. Factories feed dealers who can't sell. Dealers beg for incentives that destroy margins. And corporate PR insists everything's under control. Behind closed doors, accountants know the truth. Every day they build trucks no one buys, they lose millions more. The industry is burning money to avoid embarrassment. Out in the heartland, workers sense it too. Overtime is thinning, temp contracts vanish, and union halls buzz with rumors. The lifeblood of American manufacturing, the pickup, is now the anchor dragging it down. For owners, that means every dollar sunk into today's truck could evaporate tomorrow. And that's when buyers, people like us, started flipping the script. The spreadsheet insurgency. When the big automakers thought they still controlled the game, the people who actually buy the trucks rewrote the rules. It started quietly in online forums and Reddit threads, everyday owners comparing notes, decoding VIN numbers, and posting screenshots of their out-the-door prices. Within weeks, a handful of determined truck guys turned the entire sales system inside out. Once, the dealer held all the cards. Now, buyers are building nationwide databases that expose every rebate, every hidden fee, and every fake special. When regular folks started sharing VINs online, everything changed. Buyers discovered the 11th digit reveals factory origin, and that single number can swing thousands in value. A Texan posts a $7,000 Silverado discount. Hours later, an Ohio buyer demands the same. The secrecy shielding dealerships for decades evaporated overnight, replaced by crowdsourced transparency and collective leverage. This rebellion wasn't driven by greed. It was driven by exhaustion. People got tired of feeling tricked. They built spreadsheets not to brag, but to survive in a market that had stopped playing fair. Armed with data and screenshots, they walked into dealerships like auditors, not victims. It was a cultural shift. The moment consumers became competitors. But data alone isn't victory. Numbers can open the door, but strategy decides who wins at the desk. But data alone doesn't save you. It's what you do with it at the desk. 0% versus 6,500 cash. On paper, 0% financing sounds unbeatable. No interest, easy math, happy customer. But the truth hiding behind that slogan is brutal. In most deals, that 0% offer wipes out the cash rebate you could have taken instead. For example, a Silverado buyer looking at a $60,000 truck might be offered 0% financing for 60 months, saving around $8,000 in interest. Sounds great, until you realize the dealer removed the $6,500 rebate that was available for cash buyers. In the end, the savings nearly cancel out, and the free money pitch becomes smoke and mirrors. That's the trap most folks don't see. You either take the low APR or the cash back, rarely both. Dealers count on the emotional pull of 0% because it feels clean and safe. But smart buyers are learning to do the real math. If your credit is strong enough to qualify for a low-rate loan from your own bank, you can often pocket the rebate and still pay less overall. The move is simple. Secure financing before you walk into the showroom, then ask the dealer to quote both options in writing. Truck owners are finally realizing that the biggest leverage they have is patience and preparation. A pre-approved buyer with a calculator is every salesperson's worst nightmare. Once you strip away the fancy percentages and promises, you find the truth buried in plain sight. The real deal is the one you control. And once you know the math, another layer of the trap reveals itself. The options built into the truck itself. And once you know the math, the next trap hits your spec sheet. Spec traps that drain your wallet. If you've ever opened a truck brochure lately, you'd think every buyer spends weekends towing yachts through snowstorms while listening to podcasts on a holographic dashboard. That's how they get you. The industry builds fantasy packages full of features that look impressive, but cost a fortune when they break. Advanced driver systems, power tailgates, adaptive suspensions. They sound convenient until you see the repair bills. One cracked radar sensor can run more than $1,500. Replace a cooled seat module? Another $1,200. Even a tire pressure monitor on a heavy-duty truck can cost hundreds. You don't need a spaceship to haul plywood. Most buyers use half their features yearly, yet pay daily in price and depreciation. Dealers push trims for commission, hiding that luxury package costs thousands more over loans, with zero resale payoff later. Smart owners are pushing back. They're ordering base trims with the few essentials they actually use: tow package, bed liner, upgraded alternator, and skipping the rest. The new badge of pride isn't leather, it's logic. When you buy for utility, not vanity, you're already ahead of the market. But before you decide to pull the trigger, there's one question left. Is now even the right time to buy? So here's how to decide if now's your buy window or your wait play. Deal or wait? Every buyer eventually faces the same decision. Jump on the discounts today or wait for the 2026 reset. On paper, waiting looks like a gamble, but when you run the numbers, patience wins almost every time. A buyer who spends $65,000 on a truck today could lose $20,000 in value within 2 years. That's because manufacturers are already preparing cost-down models that will sell for $15,000 to $25,000 less. Simpler builds, fewer gadgets, lower price tags. The 2-year math is brutal. Today's pricey trucks will crater in value before the next oil change. Waiting until 2026 means redesigned, affordable models. In Texas and beyond, patience isn't weakness, it's profit, giving buyers leverage when the market resets. Still, the storm isn't over. Factories aren't slowing down, and that next wave of affordable models is already on the production line. The question isn't if the reset is coming, it's how ready you'll be when it hits. But that reset is already loading at the factory gates. The 2026 reset. Every industry has its breaking point, and for the American truck business, that point is 2026. Deep inside automaker planning rooms, the blueprint for the next era is already complete. Engineers are under orders to strip away the excess that buried buyers in debt. No more holographic dashboards or massaging tailgates. The new mandate is simple: cut cost, cut weight, cut nonsense. Leaked documents from suppliers hint at modular platforms that share parts across multiple models, simplified wiring harnesses, and drivetrains designed for durability instead of marketing bragging rights. Finally, trucks built to work, not impress investors. Automakers now chase trust, not flash. Buyers want reliability, fair parts prices, and sanity in payments. Base models once $30,000 will drop to mid-20s, trimmed of gimmicks and built for real-world durability. Behind the scenes, executives quietly admit they overreached. The luxury arms race they started 10 years ago finally backfired. Now, they're racing to undo their own mistake before foreign competitors claim the ground. The 2026 lineup is the industry's apology letter, written in steel. But before that reset can arrive, the empire that fed on high-priced trucks is already cracking from within. But before that reset arrives, one empire's already cracking: luxury meltdown. For years, the six-figure pickup was Detroit's crown jewel. Models like the Ram Tungsten, Ford F-150 Platinum, and GMC Denali redefined what a truck could cost and how much profit it could deliver. But in 2025, that fantasy collapsed. Dealerships that once sold luxury trims at $90,000 to $100,000 now can't move them even with 5-digit discounts. At recent auctions, a barely used Ram Tungsten that stickered for $92,000 fetched $78,000. That's a $14,000 loss in months, not years. That guy who paid $95,000 last summer? He's $20,000 underwater. The resale bottom has fallen out because buyers no longer trust the idea that expensive equals better. The market is punishing excess. Wealthy customers who treated trucks as status symbols are walking away, embarrassed to admit how much they spent. Meanwhile, working-class buyers look at those luxury behemoths and shake their heads, remembering when a truck was for hauling, not posing. Manufacturers relied on premium trims as their golden goose, funding smaller cars and EV projects. Now incentives explode, margins vanish, and pride turns to panic. Once symbols of success, Luxury trucks now scream excess. And the shockwave hits Wall Street fast. And when the profit engine dies, Wall Street starts making phone calls. If this breakdown opened your eyes, subscribe now and join the insiders spotting market shifts first. We drop real numbers, dealer proof, and weekly plays to protect your wallet. Wall Street's wake-up call. For more than a decade, American automakers depended on pickups to deliver nearly 3/4 of their total profit. Those trucks funded dividends, stock buybacks, and billion-dollar EV dreams. But when discounts hit $15,000 per unit, the numbers stopped working. Investors noticed first. In a single quarter, shares of both Ford and General Motors slipped more than 20%. Analysts downgraded ratings and began questioning whether the old business model could even survive another year. When dividends vanish, the golden goose is gone. Luxury sales collapsed, inventories soared, and credit agencies flagged mounting debt. EV battery plants paused, R&D froze, and expansion halted. Wall Street survives on confidence. Now drained from Detroit to New York, investors aren't panicking because they dislike trucks. They're panicking because the math no longer makes sense. The truck business once carried Detroit's future. Now it's the anchor pulling it down. The irony is brutal. The very vehicles sold as symbols of American strength have become liabilities threatening the system that built them. And as the financial world begins to feel the tremors, another storm is brewing, this one political. And the anger didn't stop with investors. It spilled into ballots. Tariffs become ballots. When politicians first promised tariffs to protect American jobs, the message played well across the Midwest. But now, those same towns are feeling the fallout. Identical trucks built in Mexico or Canada carry thousands more in sticker price thanks to import duties. And buyers aren't blaming the automakers anymore. They're blaming the policies. They said, "Buy American." We did, and got burned. That's the line echoing in factory parking lots and coffee shops from Texas to Michigan. Midwestern towns once booming with factory growth now face shift cuts and vanished overtime. Arlington contracts ended, Fort Wayne slowed, and idle plants pile inventory. Each factory job lost erases 7 more locally. Tariffs meant to protect workers now quietly suffocate them. Voters are furious. Truck prices have become a symbol of broken promises, and election season has turned into an economic reckoning. Candidates who once waved flags in front of auto plants now face angry crowds demanding answers. Tariffs aren't a policy debate anymore. They're personal. People aren't arguing theory. They're talking about the truck they can't afford and the overtime they lost. But while politicians argue and analysts spin, the workers on the floor aren't waiting for rescue. They're drawing their own line, demanding guarantees and fighting to keep their livelihoods alive. But workers on the floor weren't waiting for politicians to fix it. Labor draws the line. In the heart of the truck belt, the same people who build your vehicle are now fighting to keep your town alive. After months of production cuts and shrinking overtime, auto workers finally said enough. Unions from Fort Wayne to Flint began demanding what they call stability clauses. Agreements that force manufacturers to maintain a minimum level of production or pay penalties into local funds. It's not about greed, it's survival. Each shift cut doesn't just hurt a factory. It ripples through diners, grocery stores, and small shops that depend on those paychecks. Workers remember 2008, when companies gambled and communities paid the price. This time, they're refusing to fold. Unions demand wage contracts tied to production cycles, protecting workers as executives chase numbers. We build America's trucks, and we're fighting for your driveway too. The truth is, the men and women on those factory floors aren't the villains of this crisis. They're the firewall holding back the next wave of layoffs. The folks who weld the frames and install the engines are the same ones keeping local economies from collapsing. They've drawn their line in steel, and while they hold the line, you've got plays too. Owner decision tree? Every truck owner watching this has one question. What now? Whether you commute, work construction, or plan to keep your rig long-term, your next move matters. The first step is honesty, not from the dealer, but from yourself. If you're a commuter using your truck mainly for daily driving, your smartest play is to hold. Maintenance beats payments every time. Keep your current truck running, avoid taking on inflated debt, and let depreciation crush prices for the next generation of buyers. If you rely on your truck for work, treat it like a tool, not a trophy. Focus on utility and cost of ownership. The key is uptime. Reliability keeps your income stable. Run a quick DIY check every weekend. Inspect fluids, tires, and brake wear. Note anything odd before it becomes a repair bill. Parts prices may rise short-term, but repairs are still cheaper than loans on a $70,000 truck. For long-term keepers, it's all about value retention. Avoid cosmetic upgrades that won't add resale worth. Stick to preventive maintenance and documentation. The buyers of 2026 and beyond will reward clean service records and original parts. This is the part no dealer tells you, how to know if your truck's a keeper or a ticking loss. Your decision today shapes your leverage tomorrow. And for everyone trying to keep the math straight, here's the one cheat sheet that locks it all in. Let's lock this in with one clean cheat sheet. The buyer's firewall. If you've been with us since the start, here's your quick save moment. The part you screenshot and send to your buddy before he signs anything. First, the price impact. The oversupply of 4 million trucks means values will keep falling through 2026. Expect anywhere from 15 to 30% drops depending on trim. Second, who's affected? Every major brand from Ford to Ram, but especially high-end trims that carried heavy margins. Third, the next big change, the 2026 reset. New stripped-down models will reprice the market and make luxury options look outdated overnight. Fourth, today's move. Wait if you can, buy strategically if you must, and keep your paperwork clean. OTD price in writing, no dealer add-ons, and no long-term loans. These 4 points are the entire playbook condensed into one line of defense against the chaos. Price, people, change, and choice. That's what it all comes down to. Save this breakdown on your phone, share it with your circle, and talk about it. Because every conversation helps another buyer avoid the trap. This market collapse isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's the story of how everyday people took control back from an industry that forgot who it serves. Because this isn't just about trucks, it's about identity. The identity reboot. For decades, owning a truck was about pride. It wasn't about status or tech. It was about showing up, putting in the work, and standing by what you built. Somewhere along the line, the industry turned that pride into profit, selling luxury instead of loyalty. But now, that's changing. Across the country, a new truck culture is rising, one built on fairness, simplicity, and value. Affordable models are becoming the new badge of honor. Videos of stripped-down work trucks are going viral. People are proud again to own something real, not something inflated. We're the folks who keep America running. We build the bridges, fix the lines, haul the loads, and raise the next generation. It's time the industry remembered that. The 2026 reset isn't just a market correction. It's a cultural correction. A reminder that trucks don't define people. People define trucks. So here's the move. If this breakdown helped you dodge a bad deal, hit subscribe right now. Every week we'll feature real buyer wins from real viewers. Drop your state, model, and out-the-door deal in the comments below. Show others what victory looks like. The more we share, the stronger the community gets. Because when the dust settles and the new trucks roll out, history will remember who stood together. The buyers, the builders, and the believers who took the wheel back. Drop your state, model, and OTD deal. We'll feature the real wins next week. The flood's real, but now you know how to ride it instead of drown in it. Trucks will rise, prices will fall, but knowledge wins every time. Stay sharp, stay ahead, and subscribe for daily breakdowns before the next shock hits. We're not just watching the market, we're rewriting it together.